Hi, this is Intrigue, and I'm going to make a video explaining how to set up your Grid2, which I just started using. You can see it here is what I have set up. And I'm making this video because I had a lot of problems adjusting to Grid2 from Grid1, and I watched some other videos that people have, and they were decent, but I felt like there was some information that people could benefit from that wasn't really touched on. So this is my Grid2 here, and you can see I have like little indicators on it, but you know, showing you my setup Grid2 isn't really going to do anything, so I'm going to log on to a character that does not have it set up. So when you start using Grid2, this is what it's going to look like, which is really not much to look at. For my Death Knight, it doesn't even seem to have indicators, but as a healer, it should have some indicators in the corners depending on what spells you use, just by default. So that's not completely terrible, but to configure it, I'm pretty sure you just have to type in Grid2, and I don't know if there's a minimap config button. I've looked for it, but there doesn't seem to be one, unfortunately. So here we have the configuration settings, and for most healers, one of the first things you're going to want to do is change the orientation of the frame. By the way, my mouse is double clicking, so apologies for that. Horizontal and vertical, most videos go over this. Vertical means your health will go up and down as it decreases and increases, and horizontal means side to side. And horizontal is just a lot more convenient. So here's these settings for font and texture. I don't think those actually change the default settings though, which is weird. I'm going to try Tech UI. Yeah, see, it doesn't change it. And this won't either. I don't know what that's for. So I wish they would fix that. So that it actually applied to all your things, because that would be really nice. Frame width, frame height. So we'll make this wider. 70 is pretty good. 70. Whatever. I'm just going to type it in, because 71 is going to drive me nuts. And frame height, let's just make that 40. And so here you've got this. The rest of this isn't that important. Here, I think. Anyway, here you've got this stuff you can just ignore unless you want like different group anchors. But top left is what most people will want. And for the border, you want no border. See, that gets rid of that. And background color, you want that to be invisible. So now you've got rid of that, but you can still drag it by clicking right above the frame. Okay, so after you've got it looking something like this, you're going to want to, first of all, what you want to do is click layouts and check this out. What the fuck? That is not what I wanted. Oh, because I have it with pets. I don't want that. Stop double clicking. Okay. So, then we clear the test. And I don't know why it goes back up. Oh, well, that was it. Yeah. So here's what it would look in a 25-man. And you can still like drag it around. And I'm gonna remove the test. If you want it locked to the screen, what you want to do is check frame lock. And then you cannot drag it around. But for now, I'm just going to leave that on. So then you go to indicators, and this is where you're going to be doing pretty much all of your shit. Okay, so right now, the text on the bottom is the name, and the text on the top is like all of this crap. And I don't know why it's like that, but what you can do is, I'm pretty sure, yeah, okay, So to fix that, you can just change here. I personally switched everything. Wow, that's really at the top. Okay, that's weird. But, yeah. I went through and took these statuses, clicked name, I took these off. But you also have to do the colors, because it has colors for all these statuses, and it'll color the text that's displayed. So if you're dead, it'll display like red or white, whatever you set it to. And charmed, you know, it'll display a different color, but also display the text dead or charmed. So you can set that to be whatever you like. But yeah, so I just reversed these. The names aren't changed yet. I don't know if I can change the name. But anyway, you can just know that you've switched them. Unless you want your name at the bottom of the frame, which is perfectly fine. But here I've changed the font. But obviously this is like completely illegible. So I'm going to change the text length to 12. And then increase the font size to 12. That looks good as well. And then the Y offset, I'm going to change to 0, because I don't know why it wasn't on 0, but now you can actually read it. And I'll do the same for this. Actually, for now, I'm going to add my name to the bottom too for testing. So for some reason that's down there. Oh, it's probably because I switched them. So that is why. And here I will do the same thing. Change the text length, change the font size to something that's actually readable, change the font, and I like the Tuck UI, but you can use whatever you like. And then the Y offset will be also 0. So, but you see the name here is white because I do not have a color displayed for name, which will be class color. You can take that off by unchecking it and then take that off. So then you have like these things. Corner bottom left. This means that it's just an icon. So that's going to be like a little box in the corner at the bottom left. And here's icon center left, icon right, icon center, debuffs. I don't need one for dead, that's weird. And those use like different like colors based on the status. So it doesn't have a color tab. You have to go into the status, which is all this crap, which I'll get to later. But you do want to make sure that your icon center has a border and use the status color. That's important because when I started raiding with Grid2, I didn't do that. And I'm used to Grid1 where the center icon will have a red border or a blue border if it's like a magic debuff. And yeah, you definitely need that. So one of the first things you're going to have to do is check your buffs. And also debuffs. Here's raid buffs. General settings. You want to make sure all of these are checked for debuffs. And I have mine set to 25 heroic because why wouldn't you? But for buffs, if you're a healer, by default, it should have some buffs listed, but it might not. So what you're going to want to do is add a buff. And for me, I'm going to add, I guess I'll add like Horn of Winter. And it'll pop right up. It'll autocomplete. And you want to have show if mine. Also, here's color count for buffs that have like different like durations or stacks or like shit like that. I think mostly for buffs with stacks. You're going to want to possibly add different colors, like for Grace on a priest, which stacks to 3. I picked 3 colors and then I customized them, but Horn of Winter's just one, so I'm going to create buff. And then I've got my Horn of Winter here. And you can have it to blink. Oh, that's right. By default, Grid sets threat to the bottom left icon, which I don't really like. But by default, it'll also make it blink. That should be under combat. Yeah, threat. Disable blink, because that's dumb. I also changed all of these to red on my default because I don't care about what any of these mean. Basically, they're all this person has threat. Not tanking means it's like not a tank or something, but they'll still have threat. But you can change these if you actually care about that. All I care about is this person has threat. So I changed them all to red on mine. And anyway, here's Horn of Winter again. Show missing. So here, the icon right, I will pick buff, Horn of Winter. It's not showing up. Oh, because I have Horn of Winter. Okay, so I can click that off. And here you will see a little Horn of Winter icon. And you can change it. I don't know why it's offset like that. Now it's in the frame. And you can increase the size however much you like. That's obviously too big, but something reasonable that doesn't clutter your frames. 12 is usually a good size for things. You can have border size, usually unnecessary, and you can have text location if it has the thing like stacks. It'll show. Soft or soft thin usually is what you want, and you gotta make sure your font size is good too. See here, I enabled animation, and like it'll show up. It'll blink. So if you're used to Vuhdo, where certain things will do that, you'll probably want to do that for your debuffs. I don't like it though. I think it's distracting. And I'm gonna change this so it does not show if it's missing. And then I reapply it, and now it shows that I do have Horn of Winter on. But yeah. And what's important here, though, is learning how to use the indicator creation. So first thing you want to do is, before you type in the name, and you can name it whatever you want, you gotta pick a type. And I'm going to make a bar here, and then you pick where it's positioned. So bar at the bottom of the frame. And I'm going to name it power bar. Okay, and then you hit create indicator. Then you can test it. Oh, this is testing like all your stuff. So that's what it would look like in the center icon. I actually want to make that bigger. I totally forget about that. So that's pretty big. But yeah, then you take off test. What I want to do for power bar though is make a bar that displays the power of everything. And then it's going to use same colors. Power pearl. And then bar width. Where is this thing? I think I need to adjust its frame level maybe. How did I do this? Because this is pretty important as a healer, is you want to see people's mana. Because here's where you've got mana and power. If you just want to see mana, then you can just use that. But I like power because it's useful. Also, I'm on a Death Knight. I think my frame width is like 70, right? I'll just have it like that. Invert. Nope. opacity. Oh, okay, it's behind there. Okay, so somehow that works. Putting the frame level. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah. For some reason, I thought 1 meant it was higher than 2, but no. 3 means it's higher than 2. That's totally backwards to what I was doing. Okay. So then I'm going to adjust the bar width to actually fit my frame, which 67 should do that. No. 66. Okay. So there you've got your power bar. Another thing I'm going to show you how to do that is slightly less important is texts. Because I've already showed you icons, and now you know how to use bars, but you can set up bars to show you all sorts of things. Text, though. I'm going to put this text indicator in, let's say, the top right corner, and I'm going to name it like top right text. Okay. And create. Now, I'm going to go into buffs again, and you see you've got Horn of Winter, but I'm going to make one for Vampiric Blood, and, show with mine, and create buff. So now it'll show my Vampiric Blood, and you can change the color. I'll make that reddish, and you can make it blink. Let's say blinks at 5 seconds. That should be what it is. And top right text, we go here, and we have Vampiric Blood, mine. And also make sure the color is what you want as well. Then you go to layout and click show duration. But you want it to be a better size font, because that is really hard to read at whatever size it was. And now you've got that. I can also make it show my Horn of Winter duration here, so you can see that takes up a lot of space for long duration buffs, and I have the glyph to make my Horn of Winter last an hour. So yeah, but see that this is white because I have not thrown in a color for Horn of Winter. Now if I go and change this to blue, now it's blue. But if I use Vampiric Blood again, it will be red. But having both of these up there is a really bad idea, because now if I use Vampiric Blood, it's just going to be like underneath that, and I'm not going to be able to read that. So I'm taking off both the color and the status for Horn of Winter. As you can see, I used Vampiric Blood again, and it's a lot more visible now. And yay, it's flashing, letting me know it's dropping, and yeah. Well, if you're using like Grace or something, or Earth Shield, you could show the stack. What I do on my priest for Grace, which I know a lot of discreets don't care about Grace, but I do, because it's something, it's there, so whatever. I add in the buff for Grace here, and I use my Grace, and I create it, and then it's down here, and I'll give it 3 different color indicators, and 3 will be green, 2 will be like orange, or no, yellow? Yeah, no, it'll be like yellow, and then 1 will be orange, and then, yeah, so color count be like that, but green, yellow, orange. And then I'll go to the text, and instead of showing like the stacks, I'll show the duration because it'll be based on the stacks. Wait, why? How does it know that? Yeah, okay, so number of stacks. You can change it to remaining time, elapsed time too. And here's how you do like the time things. But I like doing stacks because then I know based on the color of the text how many stacks there are, and I know based on what the text says how much duration is left. So that's cool. So here you've got under statuses a ton of indicators. For colors, what I did for my frame is I made one called like gray, and I created it. And then for health, instead of using class color, I used gray. Oh, it's hard to see. But yeah, so here you go. And now you've got gray bars with class color text, which is what I use. It's still using this gradient thing. So for this, you can go in here, and here's where you can change the bar type. See. Now, if you don't want to change the color, you can change it to, I believe, based on the health of the person. So, health current. That will make it so your bar will change colors to these. So yeah, full health, green, medium health, low health. It doesn't have as much of a transition, I guess, as the like Vuhdo will have. But if you're used to, you know, wanting your health bar color to represent the person's health, then that's how you do that. Why are heals class color? That makes no sense. I'm going to change that. Heals incoming. So, and I double clicked on that, so I'm gonna fix that. Colors health current and change it back to color gray. And that's how you do that. So let's see. Here we've got raid debuffs. You can select the instance. See, remember, I went into raid debuffs, and this is going to be the border around the center icon. That's the color for that. I'm going to change that to red. And here are the raid debuffs modules. There's really, I don't think there's any reason to not have all of these enabled, because if you look at how many add-ons I'm using, Grid2 does not take up much. It takes 1.5 megabytes, which is one of the main reasons people like Grid2, as well as the fact that it can do almost everything that Grid and Vuhdo can do that you would want. And it takes up a lot less of your resources. So, but that doesn't seem to take up much. But if you want, you could just uncheck these. I'm not going to do that. But if you go into the instance here, you've got Siege of Orgrimmar. Yay! And these are all the heroic abilities that you would find. So, yeah. Some of these aren't actually debuffs. They're just like spells that the boss uses. Magnetic Crush, that's the thing where, you know, the magnetic pull on black fuse. It goes on everybody, so I like to disable that. Because it's very obvious that it's happening. It doesn't, you know, there's no reason to see an icon for it. There's nothing you can do, you just heal, right? So, and then here's, you see the colors for these individual debuffs. Yeah, so that's, and here class colors. You can change the colors for all of these things. Color charmed unit. If somebody is MC'd, then they will use the charmed unit color. Also, here's creature colors, friend colors. I don't know what that's about. And then here's the color indicator I made called gray. And I could actually change that to be whatever color I want. See, now my health bar is like fucking purple. But I don't want that, so I'll change it back to gray. Here's an interesting thing. It has absorbs. I actually have not figured out exactly how these work. Once absorb above max HP, absorb below max HP, and absorb total, which I guess tells you how many absorbs you have if you show it as like a text indicator, but that seems like it would take up a lot of space. You could probably also set it up as a bar indicator. And there's also shields. And you see there's all these shields listed. These are all absorb spells. So here's how you've got that. Health low. That's for like borders on grid by default. You've got health low and target. Also low mana should be there. Low mana. And the border size will be 1. And yeah. So low mana here shows as purple, which I don't like. So I'm going to change that to that. Of course, I do not have mana, so I cannot be low mana, but if I was low mana, then you would see a border around the frame of this color. But by default, for some reason, it considers 75% mana and below to be low mana, which is ridiculous. So I'm going to change it to 20%. And then it will show the border. And these are the colors for those things. Power alt, I guess that means if you're like in a vehicle. So we have these. I don't know like what those are. Charmed, you can change that color. Red's fine. Death is white. Feign death. PvP. Resurrection. You can put that as a center icon, which is a good idea. Here's a threat. Targeting and distances. Here you've got, a self indicator if you don't know who you are, which is weird. You could enable this for something and it'll be like a green indicator. Range. Range is 38 yards. It's about right. Raid icons. And direction arrows here. The thing is, with Grid1 and Vuhdo, if somebody's out of range and you mouse over them, you will have a direction arrow. With this, it'll only show if you mouse over a target, it'll show over even if they are within range, which is unnecessary clutter. Or if you select out of range, it'll show on everybody who's out of range, which is also very distracting. So I don't use the direction arrow thing, but I have submitted a request that they make it so it can be both. Like, the requirements are that the target is both being moused over and also out of range. So next we have raid and party roles. Use alternate icons. I guess that means it's going to use these things up here. You can hide damagers. And there's all these. I just made a status for the same thing that there's already a status doing the same thing. Okay, I'm cool. So there's that. You can also take on roll, and I can't set roll out of a group, but it would show my roll as an icon. Miscellaneous. Here you've got AFK. It's for like text down here. I can say AFK, boss shields. It only has Dragon Soul here for some reason, but it does have something for Tortos. For Malkarak, it does not have that, but it does have the debuff switch display. With Grid, there was like a nicer indicator for it, which let me see the amount, and I could use it to color the bars, but oh well. Then there's all this other stuff which I don't use, but or these ready check things. And yeah, AoE heals. If you're a healer, which you probably are if you're watching this video, this will be something you care about. As a Death Knight right now, I only have these two options. But if you are any kind of healer other than a paladin, it will have an AoE healer thing here under AoE heals, which will be based on your heals like Wild Growth, Circle of Healing, Prayer of Healing, Chain Heal. Those are all shown up. Oh, also monks don't have it because they don't have a heal like that. And for my Holy Pally, I made highlighter, I think, displays like which targets get healed by your smart heal as a highlight thing, which I don't like or need. Because they're already healed. So for my Holy Pally though, I made neighbors 10 yards for Holy Radiance. That's the range on it. And I made min players, I think I made it 4, just because if you make it less, then it's going to be on like everybody in the raid. There's already tons of people who have the indicator. And then you can add a health deficit. But because of how Holy Pallies work, it doesn't matter. You just want to know who is the best person or best people. And then you can change the color here. And I made it a icon in my bottom left. So when any target in a raid is near 4 other people within 10 yards, it'll show a little pink square here. Other thing is, oh wow, that's totally not the right thing. Here it shows only in combat. So a few last things that I'm going to do. Like on center here, you see it shows all of this, but you can also add the direction arrow and resurrection. The thing is, you're going to have to make a lot of these indicators yourself, and it's based on what you need. So think about your frames, think about specifically what you want shown on them, and then make indicators for those things if they do not already exist, because Grid2 only comes with a couple for each type, and you need way more than that, most likely. So now I'm going to actually copy from my paladin, and there we go. That looks pretty similar to what I got set up. And here you'll see all the indicators that I have. I've tried to keep their naming style consistent, but as you can see, I have the buffs for different things. I apparently don't use that. Oh, I've got a text. You Usually for most of my healers, I use the icon side bottom for the smart heal AoE indicator. And if I'm on my priest or my druid, it'll show like AoE, priest, circle of healing, whatever, or druid, wild growth, and that'll be there. And then I have the buff here so I can see who that's on, but that's a completely different thing. It'll only show the AoE heal status if you're on that class, and you can safely copy the profile from class to class, and it will recognize and keep that setting for you. But you do have to copy your profiles from each character. It's not like Grid where you have one universal profile and that's it. But it does fortunately recognize at least a little bit of what class you're on. The problem is, though, that by default it will have some buffs registered for your class, but once you import a profile, those will be gone. But it's really not hard to add them in. As you have seen, I have all of these buffs added in. Some of these are by default. Oh, last thing. Buffs group defensive cooldowns. That's from here. Select type buffs group defensive cooldowns. I don't know what buffs group is. Oh, that's probably if you have probably Blessing of Kings, Mark of the Wild, buffs that do the same thing, then you would want a buff group to show that you don't need to rebuff if you're concerned about that, I'm guessing. But here you see all these tank cooldowns, and I've added some as well. These last few I have added because they didn't seem to have the monk tank cooldowns. And yeah, so these show on the side actually. So if you see I use Icebound Fortitude, here you go, my tank cooldown showing. I also imported Paladin Forbearance, because that's important to know if you are healing on a Paladin. That's Grid2. I hope this guide was helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I will try to help. I'm honestly pretty new to this add-on. I've only been using it less than a week, but I try to be a fairly quick learner with these kind of things, but it is a huge transition from Grid 1 because the interface is incredibly different, but how things are displayed are really quite similar. If you used many plugins for Grid, you will be familiar with a lot of these displays. But the nice thing about this is you can set up as many indicators as you want, and you can move them all around the frame. But as you can see, Grid 2 is taking up 1.6 megabytes currently, whereas Grid 1 was taking up around 7 probably. Vuhdo probably takes about similar. And that was just Grid without the plugins too. The plugins were taking up other resources, so it was more than 7 actually. But yeah, this is highly configurable, and you can try it out. It might not be for you. Like I've said, there are certain things that I don't care for about this add-on so far, and I hope they fix it or add more to it, more configurability. But for now, it's very strong of an add-on, and it just takes a lot of setting up, and I recommend, setting it up and running some instances, like a 5-man or something, and testing it out, LFR. I set it up and I thought it was really good, and then I stepped foot into a raid and I was like, oh, okay, there's all these things I need to change, like the border around my center icon for raid debuffs, because they were not noticeable enough with the black border on the gray background. So yeah, then that's pretty much it. You know, just test it out, see what you like, what you don't like, and you know, if you like it, then that's great. I will try to make more videos like this. If you have any suggestions, please comment below, and thank you for watching.